So Chris Christie is running what I would describe as a kamikaze campaign against Donald Trump. He is attempting to be a wrecking ball, rain on Trump's parade, and do anything he can to basically kick him out of the lead and make it so he loses the primary. Now, my speculation, my conspiracy theory, is that I think he's getting paid by big donors to do this. I think the Republican elites, the big money donors, they know Trump is their candidate least likely to win in the general. And so they want DeSantis or somebody else. And they'd be willing to pay big money to make it so this guy is not the nominee on the Republican side. And the reason I think that is because Christie awkwardly said, nobody accused him of being like a paid kamikaze, but he came out and said, I'm not being paid to do this. It's like, well, why? Nobody accused you of that. And now it's like, are you being paid to do it? So anyway, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But even if he's not, his purpose is clear. His purpose is, I'm going to be the only Republican candidate who's just going balls to the wall against Trump. So Trump, of course, takes his juvenile shots at everybody in the race. It's classic Trump. But now somebody is at least hitting back. So one of the things Trump has been going after Christie for is his weight. You remember when Christie launched, Trump tweeted a video that was obviously doctored of like Chris Christie, when he was giving his launch speech, he turned it into like a buffet where Christie's holding a plate and there's like a bunch of food in front of him. And I believe he shot back at the time. Trump has continued to go after Christie on his weight. And now I bring you that to show you this. And then I'll get to his speech at the Faith and Freedom event where Christie was booed by many Trump supporters. But first, let's look at him fight back.
Once Trump started hitting back at you on a number of fronts, he took aim at your weight. What was your reaction to that?
Oh, well, like he's some Adonis? I mean, please. Look, Howie, there are tens of millions of Americans out in your audience watching right now who, like me, have struggled with their weight. I continue to struggle. I continue to try to do better, and so do they. And what's that got to do with my competence for office? I ran the governorship of New Jersey for 8 years, I think in a very energetic, successful way. Responded to Hurricane Sandy, working 20 hours a day for weeks. I don't know what his point is. You know what it is? It's like a child. It's a bully on the schoolyard who teases you and makes fun of you. But here's my message to him. I don't care what he says about me, and I don't care what he thinks about me. And he should take a look in the mirror every once in a while. Maybe he dropped the weight thing off of his list of criticisms.
Right. You haven't exactly been secret about it.
It is refreshing to have somebody who punches him right back. It is refreshing. And also, it is accurate. Trump, you're fat as fuck, bro. Yes, Chris Christie is fatter, but you're very hefty yourself. You're our big beefy boy, our big beefy wet boy. And like, I sincerely don't know if Trump knows this about himself. It's almost like he's convinced himself that like all of the far right legend around him, the people who like draw pictures of him with a giant cock in his sweatpants and jacked, he might actually think that stuff is real. Remember, I think it was a speech a while ago, he like compared the way he looks to Elvis. It's like, homie, I got bad news for you, man. You do not look like Elvis. I hate to tell you that. So anyway, Trump hides it well with his suits. I will say that. The way, the size of the suits he wears and the way he like brings his tie down a little lower, he does a good job of hiding the fact that he's a big old chunky boy. Okay, but so he's fighting back. It's refreshing to see. He's the only one who's willing to fight back sort of directly. Most of the other guys take like, pot shots at Trump, but do it in a way where they don't even bring him up by name. It's kind of embarrassing, which is sort of like a rerun of 2016 where nobody would hit him, right? Well, look, Chris Christie is getting a very positive reaction from mainstream media, whether it's Fox News or even MSNBC and CNN. The liberal outlets don't care about policy, right? And so they don't care that Chris Christie is like pretty far right in terms of the policies he supports. They're still willing to bring him on and suck him off simply because he's attacking Trump and they hate Trump, right? So he's getting a lot of positive response from corporate media, but let's see how the Republican voters are reacting to him.
Chris Christie got booed. This is the first time, that he has tested his campaign strategy of going up against Donald Trump. He's the only one who's doing it that vigorously. And he said that Donald Trump had failed the Republican Party. Let's watch.
I'm running because he's let us down. He has let us down because he's unwilling. He's unwilling to take responsibility for any of the mistakes that were made, any of the faults that he has, and any of the things that he's done. And that is not leadership, everybody. That is a failure of leadership. And you can boo all you want.
Now, I tried to find the full speech on YouTube, and I couldn't find the full speech, but we just got that little snippet from it. I'm not surprised that the Faith and Freedom people are, like, super in the tank for Donald Trump. But, again, that takes balls to get up there and say that stuff. So, look, it ain't going over well. He ain't going to win, okay? But, interesting little fact here, Christie went from absolutely nothing, 0, and now he shot up to 5% in the polls. So that means all you have in front of him is Trump, DeSantis, and Pence in most polls, although some polls have Pence at 5% or 4%. So you could even say he's potentially tied with Pence. So you basically have Chris Christie like tied for third, only Trump and DeSantis in front of him. And his whole strategy is I'm going to go out there and shit on Trump 24/7. Wow. Because look, if you ask me, I would have guessed he'd stay down in the 0 percentile range, maybe 1%. But literally in like a week or two campaigning, just taking shots at Trump, he leapfrogged Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, the weirdo from North Dakota whose name I'm blanking on right now, who we had a really good time laughing at his launch video because it looked like something from 1988. There's like, he leapfrogged like 6 candidates just by going after Trump. So that alone is surprising. It's almost like he's doing better now than he did when he was running and taking it seriously. Which goes to show you, man, in the new political era, you just got to be like balls to the wall. I don't give a fuck. I think Christie listened to his staffers the last time around and really like, they were like, you can't yell at people. You can't be as brash and abrasive and aggressive as you were as New Jersey governor when you would like yell at people in town halls. And it turned out wrong. That was the only thing that made him appealing in the first place, is that he was like obnoxious and arrogant. And so now he's turning that obnoxiousness and that arrogance against Trump. But again, it's not like he's going to win. In fact, he may have hit his peak already, but it is fun to watch. I'll give him that. It is fun to watch. I'm enjoying him watching it. But just final point, a little cherry on top here at the end. Don't get it twisted, guys, because I've seen a lot of people now make the argument of like, well, if I had to pick among the Republicans, who would be the least bad candidate? These are people who are on the left who say this. If I had to pick among the Republicans who is the least bad candidate, I would say it's Chris Christie. And it's like, hey, Jack Weasel, he is with him on all the policies. He's for tax cuts for the rich. He's for deregulation. He's for endless war. In some specific ways, he's worse than Trump because he wants to cut Social Security and cut Medicare. And he's open about that fact, right? I guess he's slightly better than Trump in the sense that he wouldn't do a coup if he lost an insurrection. But like, he's very similar to any standard Republican. So on the actual policy and how he would govern, he would be a disaster, okay? So just keep that in mind. Because I don't like it when the praise goes overboard, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it starts with stuff that's true. Hey, it's cool I was going after Trump. That's awesome. And then it becomes like, well, maybe he wouldn't be bad as president. Oh, shut up. Please stop it. Just stop it. Okay. So anyway, there you have it. Chris Christie pulling no punches, going after Trump directly. I need to see a debate, for the love of God. I'm not saying it's going to work. In fact, it's not going to work. But I'd love to see Christie and Trump on stage and just let's have at it. Let's have fun. Because he's going to be more aggressive against Trump than anybody has ever been, ever. And that would be fun to see, because you punch the schoolyard bully in the mouth, and sometimes he whimpers and puts his tail between his legs, and he runs away. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.